the type of game, as far as being close, that we had anticipated. The game certainly didn't come about how we thought it would be. Lots of ebbs and flows in the game. I think credit Air Force and Coach Calhoun. Their guys, even though they were down and they're a triple option offense, many guys would have thought about socking the bats, to use a baseball term, and they came back with a vengeance and exploited them things. I thought some of our guys made some big plays. Obviously, the time of possession whenever you play a triple option team is critical, and we certainly won that. We made some big plays when we needed to make them, and once again, we scored on defense, and I don't know how many games in a row we've done that, and that's unusual, and so we're really pleased. So this time, open up to any questions anybody might have.
Craig, the run by Josh there near the end that set up the final touchdown, I know you guys had run that play a lot, and there was some success in that. Were you just hoping to get a first down out of it, or maybe get some yards, maybe get Cooper lined up for a better angle? I mean, what can you kind of go through that?
When we got sacked on the naked, I was real concerned about our yardage right then. And there's a lot of components that go into that play, but he made the right read. And you're right, you've seen that play before, and obviously to come down and have a big run like that was a huge play in the ball game. There was a lot of big plays in this game, but that certainly was a big one. That was our thought process.
Craig, is this an example of a team learning how to win?
Well, I think so. I do, because Air Force came in here 4-0. They're very difficult. You have 1 week to prepare for a complex offense. It's completely different. We did get up and made some plays. I think we beat a good team. That's another step forward in our program. I know we're 2-0 on the mountainside, so that's a good place to be with a bye week. Yes.
Coach Antonio Hull had got beat on that long touchdown pass, come back with 2 interceptions. What was it like to see that out of him?
Well, it's great. He's a competitor, and I had some conversations with our secondary coaches, and they have complete confidence in Noodles, as we call him, and he came up with a couple big plays there, and that's part of football, though. They have good players, and we have good players, and they went out and competed today.
Let's say too, Craig, I mean, you guys are up 28-13, and they start coming back, but they never did take the lead, and you were able to find a way to make enough plays to stop that. What does that say about this team and the process that you just talked about?
Well, it is a process. It's certainly great to be able to. I thought that stopping the 2-point conversion was huge, and our coaches had worked on that. Many times a 2-point defense never comes up, or a 2-point offense never comes up, and you prepare for a lot of things. And that was certainly a big play. That had a huge shift in the game. And then to come up with the onside recovery, that flipped the field right there.
Coach, do you know the status of Carl Granderson right now?
Well, he's got a knee injury. I don't know the extent. I know he's going to have an MRI, so that's obviously fairly serious. We'll probably know a little bit more once we get the results of that. So anytime they're MRI, and that's probably not a good thing. He certainly wasn't able to finish the game, had a brace on.
Did I see Shiloh Windsor? You got him in uniform, obviously just in case.
Right, we started looking at our depth, and Shiloh was there. And Shiloh had been on the bubble, whether we were going to redshirt him or not, and then we felt like we had enough depth and we were going to redshirt him. We'll assess that during the course of this bye week where we're at the defensive end position. Because you got some good eyes seeing somebody come off the field like that.
Coach, Josh had a couple overthrows, kind of dealing with a little bit of frustration all day. He's a pretty intense competitor. How do you, as coach, kind of keep him composed on the sideline, or do you just sort of let him do his thing?
No, Coach V, first of all, I learned a long time ago, don't have too many people talking to the quarterback. I talk to him a little bit, but Coach Vegan talks to him constantly in between series. He's a competitor, there's no doubt, and he made some great plays, and he also missed some opportunities. And there's nobody that's going to come in and watch that film that's going to be more frustrated, particularly I think with the Tanner Gentry overthrow. That was frustrating, but he's made a lot of other great throws out there today. And so he's young, he's a sophomore, and there's a big upside to him.
Coach, we talked a lot about their run defense coming in. First half, you guys were able to move the ball. I guess, why was that able to work, and kind of what changed in the second half?
Well, I'd say this, we did a good job of getting man on man and getting to some edge runs and finding a crease. What occurred in the second half, I thought Air Force did a really good job doing some stunts. They knew their backs were against the wall, and that we were going to probably change and what we were doing, but that's where you really got to completely take control and run. Now, we did it later on, but that's another step for us to take.
Craig, when they onside kicked it, did you? I mean, obviously you probably somewhat expecting, but what were you really expecting? Because they still had their timeouts left and everything.
Well, we had a contingency plan. There was 3 minutes left at that time, and so our thought process was, let's put our return team out there. Now, we work with our regular return team on some surprise onsides. Once they lined up in an onside formation, we called timeout and put our hands team out. And so that was our process there.
Coach, as part of growing up with a young team, a lot of coaches use the phrase winning plays. Do you feel like your team's kind of maybe turning a corner? You know, producing
Those are. It's always dangerous to say, okay, we turned the corner, because there's a long ways for our program to go. But I can tell you we're significantly different than where we've been last year. And you don't want to look in the rearview mirror too much, but it was really heartwarming for me as I turned around and I saw our student body and a lot of people just embracing what's going on with this football team, and tremendous pride. And University of Wyoming winning does make a difference, and it's another step forward for our program.
Coach, Air Force didn't get their bigger plays until later on in the game. Is that traditionally how the triple option works with that?
Well, I know this, anytime you're playing that offense, those big plays coming anytime. We had done such a phenomenal job. I think at one time they had 9 yards total offense or something like that. Certainly we were concerned. We knew they were explosive. While they line up in triple option, you have to defend that. The different passing routes and the trees that come off it they're hard to cover, and they did a great job. I mean, they hit a couple big plays. One, it was just their guy going up. We didn't play great technique, but there was a couple other schematic plays that they hit that we've got to hone down that. We got out coached on those plays and out executed. So that's what I'm saying. It was a great win for us, and for Coach Calhoun to keep that Air Force team engaged. They're winners, and they're competitors, and they certainly competed today.
Correct. The defense you mentioned, I mean, big plays late, but you knew you were a little bigger and a little faster and a little more athletic. But I mean, did you really see? I mean, you're midway through the season, and look what this defense has done with the turnover stuff. Did you even expect something like this, at least at this point right now?
I saw more speed and athleticism. We'd always like a little bit more depth. Never would I have thought. I thought we may be able to get the turnovers, but to score the number of times we scored, now that's an indication of speed and athleticism and explosion. And so we're ahead of the curve there, and we just got to keep it coming. I know it helps a lot.
Coach, on that 2-point conversion, Josiah Hall played it pretty perfectly. What's it like to see that out of a freshman on such a crucial play?
Well, it's also Nate. He's from Colorado, and these guys take great pride in playing at schools that are up and down 25. We've had some competitive games. And so it's great to see him come out and make a play like that. He's another freshman, and what also is great, he's a walk-on. Came here without a scholarship, and he's starting for us.
Coach, Air Force and Wyoming kind of have a little bit of recent history. Air Force won in a kind of dubious way a few years back, and some of your players have been quoted as saying that this is, a game that's kind of as big as CSU is. How nice is it to get those two big rivalry games with the Colorado schools, both in the bag as wins?
Well, it's first of all getting two Mountain West mountainside wins is huge. And this game is a competitive game. Coach Calhoun and I have a really good relationship. We know that these two schools for a long time have had close competitive football games. We both embrace that. The first year we won on a second play about, and then last year they took us to the woodshed, and this year we won in a competitive game. I think it's just going to, every year is going to be like this, and so it's certainly, we're going to enjoy this one.
You were